Welcome to another installment of This Is Not Normal on the Political Drain podcast with Drill Sergeant Doug, aka Admin Doug, a U.S. Army veteran, teacher, musician, and family man from Jamaica, now fights for justice and democracy through commentary and humor. Follow him on YouTube at Political Drain and at Sons of Liberty Official as Drill Sergeant, aka Admin Doug, continues to protect our freedoms.
MAGA wants strength, and they want victory. They want success, and that's what we have. And we have been very, very successful. You know, when I went into Venezuela, I said, because I campaigned on the fact peace with strength, you wouldn't have to use it. I built this great military. I said, you'll never have to use it. But sometimes you have to use it. And Cuba's next, by the way. But pretend I didn't say that, please. Pretend I didn't say that. Please, media, please disregard that statement. Thank you very much.
What's up, YouTube? Drill Sergeant here. And Donald Trump is a weak, juvenile, sniveling little bitch. He is a mentally retarded and cognitively regressed, sniveling little juvenile bitch at that. Now, Donald Trump's father, he was as cruel and sociopathic as he was decent with money, disciplined, and the people around Donald Trump as he grew up knew that. Even though they all knew that he was a weak, juvenile, sniveling little bitch, he got away with more than he should have because of his father, who had respect, despite his sociopathy. The one thing that Donald Trump knows is, by himself, he's nothing. But he wants everybody to think it's him because he's trying to get from under the shadow of his father. But what he always does is choose another one. He praises dictators because he sees them as the only people who he can get smacked around by and not feel like he's less than. He can be right in his place. Yeah. And as his cognitive abilities decline, it's becoming worse. This time, the daddy that he's chosen is Putin. Putin is his new daddy. And I don't know if you know this, but there's been an embargo, a new embargo on Cuba that this president put in place. But now he's gone back on it because Putin wants to put an oil tanker into Cuba.
On the exact subject of oil, which Donald Trump has lifted sanctions on Iranian oil, Russian oil, he's once again capitulating to Putin. U.S. to allow Russian oil tanker to reach Cuba, breaking blockade. The tanker full of crude oil could reach its expected destination by Tuesday, providing a lifeline to the island amid intense U.S. pressure. The United States Coast Guard is allowing a Russian tanker full of crude oil to reach Cuba, delivering a critical supply of energy to the island nation after months of an
Yeah, and all of this is at a time when the orange intellectual void we call president is trying to go to Cuba next to fight another war. So he wants to put an embargo on them, as what he did after Venezuela, said they can't have no more oil. But then daddy says, look here, buddy, look here, son, I need to get inside there with my oil so I can make more money so that I can do my own war. Oh, and by the way, so I can make more drones and send them to Iran so they can kill you and your people. And Donnie Boy says, that sounds just about right to me.
Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, Trump downplayed the Russian shipment.
It doesn't bother me much. It's not going to have an impact. Cuba's finished. They have a bad regime. They have very bad and corrupt leadership. And whether or not they get a boat of oil, it's not going to matter. I'd prefer letting it in, whether it's Russia or anybody else, because the people need heat and cooling and all of the other things.
Earlier this month, the U.S. temporarily eased some Russia-related sanctions to improve the global flow of oil, disrupted by the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran. But those exemptions explicitly barred transactions involving Cuba, as well as Iran, North Korea, and Crimea.
This is not just a one-time fecklessness of an immature, foolish child man. This is the systematic eroding of the United States on a whole. Every decision he makes is that which weakens us. Every single decision. Therefore, I can only come to the conclusion that we are being run by a foreign state, an adversary foreign state. The vapid orange void in the White House is not a president. He is an asset of Russia and always has been.
Wonderful impressions. Negotiations were excellent. Part of the delegation is outside right now. First and foremost, I would like to thank Congresswoman Luna for an open, honest, and truly constructive dialogue.
We did not talk about the Senate. We met with members of the House of Representatives. But I must say that this group already has a bipartisan character. That means that among the partners we spoke with, there were not only Republicans, but also Democrats.
The idea of putting an embargo back on Cuba. Yes, back on Cuba. In the 1960s, we put an embargo on them because they decided to nationalize all the American corporations. We got mad because the only thing we care about is money. We put an embargo on everything going to them, including travel. It has destroyed their people, their economies. It provided nothing but pain and hurt, but it didn't kill them. They still had ties with Russia, who figured they might as well help their communist comrades. In the 60 years that embargo was there, it did nothing to change their politics or weaken the spirit of their people to turn democratic and start giving America money again. That's all it was about. So Barack Obama decided that politics isn't working. So what did he decide to do? He decided, we're going to get rid of this. We're going to lift some of this embargo. We're going to start some trade back again. And it's not only because those sanctions hurt the lives of everyday Cubans, but arguably they've also helped the regime maintain, because each time sanctions and restriction tighten, the Cuban government can easily blame the U.S. embargo for the hardships of the people. It's also strengthened the relationships between Cuba, Russia, and China.
Washington's purpose has always been to modify or force out Cuba's one-party communist system, but clearly it's failed miserably.
On the contrary, in Cuba's case, the embargo has become a fundamental component for the survival of the Cuban state and its current government. The tougher the sanctions, the easier it is to accuse the United States of violating sovereignty, destabilizing the country, and organizing rebellion.
That is exactly what happened when economic hardships and restrictions on freedom of expression exploded into unprecedented mass demonstrations last year. Harsh sanctions against Venezuela and milder ones against Nicaragua's Daniel Ortega have in fact encouraged alliances with China, Russia, and Iran, making them less dependent on the U.S.
I don't know of any case in Latin America where sanctions...
While they may not be effective, they remain Washington's preferred means of persuasion. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera.
It makes sense that when an asset of Russia comes back in, this guy decides he's going to do the same thing that hasn't worked for 60 years instead of continuing with what was actually becoming a budding, growing, decent relationship, benefiting both sides, what Obama put in. But then again, Obama's black, so everything he touched, you got to get rid of. That was his number one move. Let's be honest. In January 2026, Trump signed the Executive Order 14380, which authorizes additional tariffs on countries that trade and sell oil to Cuba. This has led to the current humanitarian crisis that they're dealing with right now. We have convoys of humanitarians from all over the world, including here in America, that are going there to give them hospital supplies. I cannot reiterate this enough. Again, the American government, the vapid, stupid, ignorant, orange void in the White House still now believes somehow that isolating Cuba will bring about regime change. And because his ego knows no bounds, he thinks we'll just take Cuba. Just take it. Here's the point. Even though right now in Cuba there are power blackouts, shortages of food and medicines, crumbling infrastructure due to the lack of investment, and are under a threat of a U.S. takeover. On the other hand, you can't lift the embargoes and then say we're going to go take it. We're going to go take it. We want regime change and we're going to take it. The best chance you ever had was when we lifted those embargoes 16 years ago. It's hard. Let's just talk about what we've done to this place. What we've done to Cuba already. The World Health Organization has expressed deep concern at the current situation. While Cuba's mothers-to-be prepare to give birth in a country plunged into darkness.
It is another night without power anywhere on Cuba, another nationwide blackout, the second in 2 weeks. I'm just making use of a security light outside one home, but other than that, there's virtually none that have power. Maybe the occasional small business, at least in this part of the city, the only light coming from passing vehicles. The second time in 2 weeks as Washington's near total fuel blockade on the island continues to take hold, continues to hurt ordinary Cubans, and has overwhelmingly been hitting some of the most vulnerable, the elderly, young children and pregnant women. Nevertheless, it seems that there is certainly no plans from Washington to let up in terms of the fuel and the energy blockade. Talks continue, we understand, between the two sides, but again, with the island in an end-to-end blackout, power cut.
Babies and patients on ventilation have had to be hand ventilated until generators start working again. One blackout, then a second blackout, then a third blackout. Yeah, I want to lift those embargoes. For the humanitarian purposes, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? I don't want to just let a Russian tanker get in there because daddy says so, because the strong hand of another sociopath is controlling our would-be president, who is really just a small, insignificant, petty, pathetic child looking for a father figure who was also equally as abusive as the one he's found now.
Yaima Sanchez's 9-year-old son is suffering from tachycardia. Waiting at this pediatric hospital in Havana, she hopes that there will be enough resources for her son's treatment.
I came here with the faith that doctors would attend to me, doing what they do best, and with whatever willingness they could offer.
An oil blockade imposed by Trump in January has pushed the communist-run nation into a deeper economic crisis, and the healthcare system is feeling the toll.
It's being affected in the sense that we would like to operate more, we would like to do more things, but our resources do not permit it. That is what's causing the strain.
In efforts to help Cuba, the United Nations proposed a $94 million emergency plan. One of the main points is tracking fuel use.
It is not a negotiation that we are having with a member state. It is about having a transparent action plan that is very well focused, very well justified, with a traceability model that shows where each liter of fuel goes.
The UN says it wants to keep critical services running in Cuba, like access to electricity and public transport. Solar power could be a potential solution to keep schools and hospitals up and running. Solar panels, medical supplies and food were carried by a first flotilla that reached Havana on Tuesday. 2 more ships are set to arrive in the coming days.
Let's talk about these convoys, because this is important. Before I leave, today is Monday, and I have one more video coming out, and then I won't be making any more videos for 3 weeks. You're going to have a force of nature, Crash Dummy. Now, don't let the name fool you. I actually like that name because I understand it. But Crash Dummy, I did an interview with him, and if you know anything about him, he knows his stuff. He's all about this pro-democracy. He is extremely intelligent. He's a vet, and you're going to love everything he's doing. But before I leave here, I don't want to just end it with, hey, by the way, Putin is Trump's daddy again. Hey, by the way, he caved to Putin again, just like he caved to Iran, and he's now taking off those sanctions too, while bombing them, because just the implications of that alone, helping Cuba while threatening to bomb them, bombing Iran while taking off the sanctions, it means that we don't know what we're doing. We have no idea what we're doing. We have no plan for what to do next. We don't know why we're doing it, and no one knows when it will stop. That's important to know and understand fully and contextually. Besides him being a feckless child and a regressive, ignorant fool. But I also want to talk about these convoys going over there. I want you to know what's happening over there. So maybe we can find some other common ground. And I want to make sure I do it before I leave. So let's talk about the Nostra America Convoy. It's an international organization focused on breaking the U.S. blockade. It successfully arrived in Cuba, accompanied by politicians, political commentators, foreign press, music artists, Twitch streamers, and others. So as of right now, organizations like this are still needed. The musical group Kneecap went there, and they explain why they decided to go.
Kneecap, thank you for joining us on Channel 4 News. Just wanted to start, I suppose, by asking you why you're in Havana.
We're here as part of a convoy to bring to help humanitarian aid to Cuba and to raise awareness about The collective punishment that's being dealt to the Cuban people here by the Trump administration, and there is an embargo, and there has been for a long time here, for over 60 years, but now there's an embargo on oil, which is causing a lot of problems here in Cuba. So we're here to bring awareness. We also bring humanitarian aid, but also there's 300 kilos of humanitarian aid coming from groups from all around the world. No. It's from the Western America. It's 20 tons. We've personally brought 30 kilos. That we've 300 kilos. Sorry, the numbers are all over the place here. But yeah, so obviously it's also important that we're here due to the fact that Irish and Cuban solidarity is something that goes back a long time. So obviously it's a privilege and an honour to be here. And even under such difficult times, as the Irish understand, you still see the resilience in the Cuban people every day here.
Mm-hmm. And can you give me some sense, just in terms of the local people you're meeting, like a sense of the sort of hardship they're experiencing as a result of the blockade?
Yeah, we were just walking around this morning there, and you see that even one of the local pharmacies, they're down to the bare bones in their medicines, and there's queues around the corner for people trying to get bread. So the people are hungry as well. We know going back as far as the forced starvation that happened in Ireland. We were supported by the Choctaw people and the Native Americans who sent over funds to help people who were starving. So, we know the importance of international solidarity, and that's one of the reasons why we're over here now.
Now, with kneecap being kneecap, haters are always going to hate. And this time, they got some people blaming them for causing yet another blackout after they put on a concert in Havana. But we all know that's absurd. But yeah, seriously. Well, there's a few more names I want to mention so you know what's going on with this convoy. The English politician Jeremy Corbyn was also part of that convoy. Hassan Piker. But his visit wasn't so without incident.
Brother, how am I supposed to know that an Israeli Mossad agent followed my ass to Havana fucking Cuba and intercepted me at my point of travel? So he came up to me at the Havana airport while I was flying. I didn't fully know who he was when he approached me, yelling with a phone camera in tow. It came from our left flank. I was shocked. The last part of the story that I wanted to get to was Nas Daily. This guy, Nusayr Yassin, okay? He is an Israeli agent, a propagandist, and he was there while we were there. Separately, of course. He did not come on the fucking flotilla. You guys are so stupid. Some people were like, oh, did they do no vetting? Did they allow Nas Daily to come on the flotilla? You're a fucking idiot. Now, the real question to ask here is why an agent of Israel is so invested in the aid mission to Cuba.
The facts are, Cuba is still under sanctions. Those sanctions are crippling the country. So, yeah, I'm happy to see they're getting oil. But the mere fact that I know the reason why is because we're placating Daddy Putin, and his asset is sitting in the White House. And with the recent foreign policy decisions taken on by our administration here in the U.S., who knows what's next? None of it is good. None of it is good. We got to impeach the guy now. Or take him out ourselves, pick him up and take him out the daggone White House if we have to. Because, goddamn it, somebody's got to do something before it's too late. I say join me on the 4th of July. We're doing 7 days in D.C., and I want millions to be there. We're going to be doing direct action in the offices of these people who we pay and elect to govern us. Asking why aren't they doing this yet? Why aren't they impeaching him yet? Why are they waiting till November and the world burns down? You can join us there. You don't have to wear a gas mask or fly a Trump flag or bring batons and weapons. You can actually just walk in there. It's your house. And if you're not a fool and a doofus, you can go in there by the droves. I did it last year in November 22nd of last year. I want more there this time. We're doing 7 days. We got Robbie Roadsteamer is going to be there putting on wrestling matches to counteract the foolishness that'll be going on the White House lawn. If you haven't heard about that, what's going on there for 4th of July, just count yourself lucky. We want everybody there. You have time to plan and strategize. You have time to save. We're telling you now, the 4th, 7 days is going to be from whatever 7 days up till the 4th is. We don't have the artwork out yet, but as soon as I do, I'm going to place it right there every day until the 4th of July. So you guys remember to plan, strategize, get your transportation together. We are going to show up in droves. And if they haven't already taken him out by then, we'll have a much better chance together to do it. Yeah. What are we doing here? How many more have to die and suffer? How many babies have to be delivered in the dark? How many children's schools have to be bombed by us? How many Ukrainians? How many Ukrainians? By Russia. The time to fight is now. Also, direct action means maybe you need to be throwing some dildos. I didn't say throwing, I'm sorry. Holding, playing. The dildo distribution people. Yeah. You haven't seen them? Go to closertotheedge.com. But I'm going to put the link in there that shows you the whole thing that they're doing. It's amazing. But they're using these. And they've got thousands of them now because they realize that they're so effective at warding off these ICE agents at Whipple in Minneapolis. And now around the nation, they're giving these away to people. They're passing them out because that absurdity in the face of this toxic masculinity seems to be the one thing that gets these ICE agents to back off. It actually works. So I want to help them get those donations for the thousands that they've bought. Also, the thousands were donated to them as well. But for the ones that they bought, they need to get that money back, and they need to keep this going because it's working. If nothing else, just to piss off those ICE agents. Email me, politicaldrain@proton.me. politicaldrain@proton.me. You email me, say, I want to donate, and I will give you the instructions on how to do so, because the time to fight is now. Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're going to pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads. It's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works.
That was the Political Drain podcast, which can be heard on www.groovechillradio.com/political-drain and can be viewed on the Political Drain YouTube channel anytime. Once again, thank you for listening to Groove Chill as we resist fascism in any form, pursue democracy, peace, and love.